Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today we are continuing the guide series with Hitmontop. I know I already did Hitmontop in the past, but that was in Dynamax format. Now we're talking about Series 10 and, formats without Dynamax. So if you want to check out the other one, I did a little bit more in depth, I guess. That'll be up there in the top right corner. But anyway, Hitmontop is actually an incredibly strong support Pokemon, incredibly good in the format, especially with, Pokemon like the Volcarona and Ogre. Things like Top Ogre, Top Moth have been really viable strategies in the past and still are in VGC Series 10, especially Top Moth definitely seems like the strongest one with Hitmontop. I'll explain a little bit more of that synergy here in a moment. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about an overview of Hitmontop. What exactly does it do? Why is it good? So, Hitmontop's its stats, honestly, are not too incredible. HP at 50 is not very good, but defense at 95 and special defense at 110 is pretty solid bulk. And then it also has options of Intimidate or Technician. So it can be offensive with Technician, Fake Out, Technician, Mach Punch, or it can be Intimidate and, more supportive, Wide Guard, Quick Guard, moves like that, Fake Out, of course. So, Hitmontop is pretty versatile, but it typically will see more play as the Intimidate. But recently I've been using a Technician, and it's very, very strong. Power Punch, or, Mach Punch just finishes off everything for you, so it's really, really good with Hitmontop. Its attack is not too bad at 95, and speed at 70 is also pretty okay. You can EV it with a lot of speed to, outspeed things like Rillaboom and Incineroar using their own Fake Out. So you can be the fastest Fake Out user of those, but there are still going to be fast Fake Out users, things like the Ludicolo, you have Raichu. There's more fast users there, but yeah, Hitmontop, you can EV it to be kind of fast, which is pretty good. As far as what we're going to be doing, we'll talk about it in a moment. Let's finish off the overview. Intimidate and Technician are both amazing abilities. Obviously, Intimidate, everybody loves Intimidate, and Technician is really, really strong in this Pokemon with Mach Punch. You also have things like Sucker Punch and Bullet Punch that can be a little bit better, very good spread moves or coverage moves that are also, affected by Technician. So that's pretty cool. Its moveset's pretty solid. Weaknesses of Flying, Psychic, and Fairy, and resistances of Bug, Rock, Dark. So it's a pretty medium Pokemon there. You have 3 weaknesses, 3 resistances. It's a mono fighting typing, which is okay. It's good now that we lost, all the Max Airstream because there's no Dynamax anymore. So, or at least for the VGC Series 10, which this video is going up for. But yeah, it's not the best. Flying, Psychic, and Fairy are all pretty good. Typically, they are going to be special attacking, though, with the exception of, Fly and Bounce and stuff like that. But that's going to see less play here in VGC Series 10 instead of, Dynamax format because it doesn't turn into Airstream. So, you know how that goes. Anyway, that's about it for the overview. Let's go ahead and talk my things here. So my builds. So I have 2 builds for it today. The first one is the one that I've been using here when Top Ogre and Top Moth teams in Series 10 testing. So it's pretty good. Not to toot my own horn, but I do like this spread. It's pretty good. Hitmontop at Life Orb is going to be the first one at Technician as well. So it's going to be doing a lot of damage. Its Mach Punch and Fake Out are going to be doing a lot of damage, which is really, really good for things like Top Moth and Top Ogre. Kyogre hits Water Spout, knocks things to their sash, or knocks them very, very close to death. And Hitmontop's Fake Out and Mach Punch can finish the job really well. It also has Fake Out to assist the Volcarona in setting up Quiver Dance, and Wide Guard for keeping it away from things like the Rock Slide, which is very, very good. You also have Quick Guard, keeping your Kyogre away from the Rillaboom attacks Grassy Glide, which is really, really good. And also Quick Guard helps out with a couple of random things like Prankster Pokemon hitting taunts and Prankster Pokemon hitting Thunder Waves and stuff like that. So it comes up sometimes, but Quick Guard, in my opinion, is a very, very good thing for a Kyogre, and Hitmontop covers that really, really well. As far as the build itself goes here, Mach Punch, Fake Out, Quick Guard, Wide Guard, it is very supportive, but it also does a big punch with Mach Punch every time. As far as the EVs go, I went for 252 into attack with Adamant Nature, just so it can do the most damage with Fake Out and Mach Punch, so that it can, kind of switch in, hit some really big damage, and then get out of there. Still have Quick Guard, Wide Guard as good support moves, and Fake Out, recycling Fake Out is very, very good. As far as the speed goes, I went to a 4 just so we could outspeed all of the speed investment Rillabooms that I've seen. This outspeeds all of them that I've that I've seen and played against, but also outspeeds every single Pikalytic spread that is most commonly used for Rillaboom. So it'll be really good for laddering. You will be, outspeeding a lot of these Rillabooms, fake outing their fake out, keeping them away, and it could be a really, really good time. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, fake out those so you don't have to go quick guard right off the bat. It's a very good strat for best of one, which is good for laddering and good for that, but also, using things like quick guard and wide guard, you will have to be really, really careful because your opponent will make some adaptations in a best of 3 tournament, which is, pretty common for tournaments. So definitely be careful there. As far as the rest of the EV spread, I just poured it all into HP, defense, and special defense, kind of like a very even spread around that. This does, I mean, this wasn't really for anything specific. I think there was 1 or 2 specific calcs, but I don't remember them as I made this spread a few days ago. But we do have more in-depth on the damage calcs portion as well. So stay tuned for that. That is about it for the first build. As far as the second build goes, we do have Hitmontop at Eject Button. This is the one you'll see more frequently because it does do the Intimidate stuff, which most people think of when they see Hitmontop. They think of, Eject Button Intimidate strats in a very bulky Hitmontop overall, so that it can take a big punch and then Eject Button out of there, and then you still have Intimidate and Fake Out once again later in the game, so that is very, very strong. You still do have moves like Wide Guard, Quick Guard, but we're only using Wide Guard here because that's more normally used. It keeps things like Expanding Force that's boosted away. You have Heat Wave, you have Water Spout, you have Earthquakes, you have Rock Slide. So many really, really good Pokemon attacks in this format. Wide Guard just stops them. Dazzling Gleam from Xerneas, there's a lot of them. So Wide Guard we opted to put on there, but not Quick Guard for this one. Fake Out is going to be a standard for this. Intimidate, Fake Out, Eject Button is an amazing trio there. You come in, you get an Intimidate, you land a Fake Out, and then you get hit, you switch out, you get an Intimidate and a Fake Out later in the game, guaranteed. Especially with this EV spread, very bulky. We're living almost every big attack in the meta that I think Hitmontop would probably get hit with without them, just singling in on it and trying to take big knockouts on Hitmontop. So it works. As far as the EV spread goes, I went for 252 into HP, 28 defense, and 220 special defense. A very, very bulky spread here for Hitmontop. The 220 special defense is really, really good for the Hitmontop, living things like the Expanding Force from the Calyrex Shadow Rider, as well as things like Water Spout from Kyogres. So Hitmontop with that spread is very, very bulky. And then I just put the leftover 4 into speed and attack, just cause, make it a little bit wider of a spread. Give it a little bit of speed, which is good for the mirror match of Hitmontop v Hitmontop. A lot of them won't have any speed, so being able to hit that Fake Out first is pretty good. So I just popped it on there. Anyway, that is about it for those 2 spreads, or those 2 move sets. Of course, they will be in the description, so you can copy paste them right into Showdown for you as well. As far as some options go, as far as items go, we could have some berries, things like the Pinch Berries or Citrus Berry. I don't really recommend using them, as I really like these 2 spreads. You're going Life Orb Technician, or you go Eject Button. Intimidate is a really good way. But if you're going the Intimidate route, you can just go for the, berries, Citrus Berry or a Pinch Berry. Pinch Berry probably over Citrus Berry, but Citrus Berry is still a good option. So both those are really good, especially, if anything's already spoken for. You're probably not going to have Eject Button on anything else, maybe like a Whimsicott or something, but probably not, to be honest. You already have the berries, or you have the Eject Button's better on Hitmontop, probably. It's very solid. Anyway, other options as far as moves go, we have Feint, which is a very, very good option here. Breaking Through Protect is really, really good. Of course, we already do have Pokemon like Urshifu that break through Protect, but Feint is very, very solid in this format. You go for big, big knockouts here and there. Feint, your opponent has Kyogre, and they're like, and you have a Rillaboom, and you're like, oh wow, I want to kill you, but I can't this turn, so you go Feint and Grassy Glide, and it's just huge. So Feint is very, very good. Helping Hand is another good option for Hitmontop, especially in this format. A lot of, non-Okos and Dynamax in a non-Dynamax format is pretty likely, so Helping Hand will put your guys into range for an Oko. Could be huge with things like Kyogre, Water Spout, and stuff like that. You just have to be careful of Wide Guard. Of course, we also have moves like Sucker Punch, Bullet Punch, and that's it, I guess. For those priority moves, obviously Mach Punch as well. Just a couple of good options there. Brick Break, in case Screens gets out of hand this meta, it probably won't, as, Fake Out is just so useful against those Pokemon that are set Screens, but still it's an option. Bulldoze as well as an option. This is more used in Dynamax format because it, is used to proc your weakness policies and stuff. You're probably not going to be using Bulldoze, but put this next to a flyer, use Bulldoze, you can lower speed. That can be a good strat as well. And then we also have Coaching and Triple Axle, the new moves. Triple Axle could be pretty good as a coverage move. It also does work for a Technician, so that's cool. And then you also have Coaching, which is very, very strong as well for a physical attacking Pokemon. +1 speed, +1 attack, and +1 defense. Very, very good. So Coaching is definitely a good option on this Pokemon. Love to see it. Anyway, that is about it for those options and stuff. Let's talk about synergetic Pokemon before we move on. And I already did cover them, Top Ogre and Top Moth, but let's talk about them a little bit more in depth here. Why is that good? So, obviously with Volcarona, you have things like Rock Slide really getting in the way, so Wide Guard is amazing for that. And also, Fake Out just helps you set up that Quiver Dance, so the Volcarona can be an incredibly strong, Heat Wave spammer for the next couple of turns. Top Moth used to be an absolutely strong strategy, incredibly strong in a couple formats. 2016 it was really, really good. 2019 it was good. Still 2018 maybe no yeah, it's good. So Top Moth is really cool, so hopefully we'll be able to see more Top Moth throughout this meta, and I think we will, to be honest. Same with Top Ogre. That is the team that I've been using mostly recently. Into Series 10 was a Top Ogre, Top Moth team. It was really, really good. I'll, of course, link that video at the end of the video. So if you, stay tuned till the end, that will be the recommended video in the top right. So, yeah. Anyway, also Quick Guard is obviously very, very good for Kyogre, keeping the Grassy Glide from Rillaboom very, very far away from here, which is good. Anyway, this is going to be a little bit different from our regular meta guides. We are going to be skipping the speed tiers route for Hitmontop, as speed just doesn't really matter that much to Hitmontop most of the time. You do have things like the close combat and Brick Break and stuff that you might use, but usually it's going to be using things like Feint, Mach Punch, Fake Out, Quick Guard, Wide Guard, Detect, things that have priority. So we're not going to be talking about speed tiers. We are going to be talking about damage calcs, and then we're skipping single spotlight as well. Sorry, singles players, but I just didn't feel right giving you a Hitmontop build because I don't have a good spread for it, as I'm not really a singles player. So we're going to be just talking about speed, the damage calcs, and then end the video. So first off is the first three is going to be for the first build, the Technician Life Orb. We're going to be doing a lot of damage, but we're also going to be taking not too much damage because it does have a little bit of natural bulk. So first off, 60 special attack, Tapu Fini Moon Blast. This is a random spread, but as you see here, we do only take 78 to 92%, which is, leaves a little bit of room for a Tapu Fini to get a little bit more special attack investment. If it Calm Minds, yikes, it's probably knocking you out, but it's okay. Guaranteed to a KO nonetheless. You are still getting up a Fake Out right off the bat. Not a too bad matchup with Tapu Fini. Next are going to be two offensive calcs here with the Life Orb Technician. First off, 252 plus attack Life Orb Technician, Hitmontop, Mach Punch, and to a 4 HP, 0 defense Kyogre. This is going to be your Scarf builds and stuff. Fake Out does a good bit of damage, but our Mach Punch does a huge chip, 37 to 44, which is a huge amount into this Kyogre. Kyogre is an incredibly bulky Pokemon, so being able to take it out pretty quickly here with that is really, really good. Pair this next to, a Regieleki or something, or a Rillaboom Grassy Glide. You're taking out the Kyogre no problem. Putting a little bit of chip on the Pokemon is really, really good. And into a non-Dynamax format, chip damage is a huge deal. So definitely getting that chip up is really, really good. Next, we have Intimidated Life Orb Max Boy, or Max Attack investment here. Mach Punch into a 236 HP, 28 defense Incineroar. We are hitting 43 to 50%, which is a very small chance of 2-hit KOing, which is probably not likely, but this is also a random spread. They might be investing a little bit less into defense, and you might be able to position it into a position where it's not intimidated, and then you're doing a huge chunk, probably knocking it down to its Pinchberry if it's Pinchberry, and kind of running away with this Incineroar, right? Just taking that Incineroar down, which is a really, really big deal because Incineroar is going to be one of the most used Pokemon in the meta, probably the most used, if I had to guess. If I had a wild guess right now, most used Pokemon in VGC Series 10, I'd probably give it to Incineroar. So, having a good matchup with that is pretty good. Next, we have our three defensive calcs to the very bulky Hitmontop. First off, 252 plus special attack Kyogre Water Spout in rain at max BP into our 252 HP, 220 special defense Hitmontop is only hitting 84.7 to 100%. Now, I said only, and then I said a chance to OHKO. it's only a 6.3% chance, and if you wanted to make that a 0% chance, you would have to almost max the special defense, and I wanted to really keep, put the spread a little bit more into attack and stuff like that, so I will take that 6.3% chance with the Kyogre Water Spout, which I think is an okay thing to do. But, being able to live a Water Spout at max BP in rain is incredibly good with this Pokemon, and being able to live that and then, hit a Fake Out again, or Fake Out and then, doing an Intimidate, Fake Out again later, Mach Punch close combat, it's really good, and that's a huge tool for Hitmontop. Next, we have 252 plus attack Zacian Crowned Behemoth Blade into our 252 HP, 28 defense Hitmontop, hitting 74 to 87. Now, this is not a lot of defense investment, only 28, but this most of the things that are super effective against the Hitmontop is not going to be doing an incredible amount of damage, as it's very bulky in special defense and has a lot of special defense investment. So these Pokemon that are doing physical things are getting intimidated, which is a big deal for Hitmontop. So that's why we went so much more into special defense. That's why, typically in Incineroars we'll see more special defense investment. It's because they already have Intimidate, right? It only makes sense. So living this Behemoth Blade is really, really big deal. And, obviously you can kill the Hitmontop with a Swords Dance or something, but just being intimidated, neutral, is not killing it. So that's really good. Anyway, next we have the 252 special attack Calyrex Shadow Rider Expanding Force. This is without the terrain, so if you play against this, you'll have to, mess around with the terrain. You'll have to have a Rillaboom on your team, or, Tapu Koko, something, right? To just keep that away. Finny. Anything to keep that terrain away, or else it's going to be taking knockouts on Hitmontop left and right, so like very easily. But if they don't have the terrain up, then it's only hitting the 80% to 95, which is a lot of damage, mind you, but not a guaranteed OHKO, and then it'll switch out your eject button, and it'll be really good. Now keep in mind, the Hitmontop is not great in this matchup, the size spam matchup anyway, but I still wanted to say this calc just to show the special defense investment can actually just like make a huge difference. Anyway, that is going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It makes a huge difference. It really does. Have a great week. Hope you like Series 10. Question of the day, because I forgot to say question of the day. Do you like Hitmontop? Do you think it's going to be a great Pokemon for Series 10, just like I do? Are there any other supportive Pokemon that you're really interested in? What's your favorite supportive Pokemon in Series 10? There we go. That's a good question of the day. Have a good week. Goodbye.